Welcome to CivilNet. I have two very special guests today, both from Germany. One is the Minister of Education and Culture of the Saxony Anhalt land, Minister Stefan Dörgerle. How's my German? And our other guest is an archaeologist, Dr. Harald Meller, who has been working here in Armenia, in Sisian, and is working on the petroglyphs, the rock carvings that many of us, including me, don't know very much about and probably don't respect as much as we should. Minister, let me start with you. Thank you for coming to Armenia, to CivilNet, and ask you why the minister, the Culture and Education Minister of a region of Germany is here in Armenia, touring the country as you have, and supporting these kinds of bilateral cultural projects. First, thank you for doing it, but tell us why you do it.
We signed a contract in 2005 to start cultural and educational cooperation, youth exchange, cultural exchange, because in Germany, each Bundesland, each region has a special task to do cooperation with some European countries. So we choose Armenia because of our history. In our country, Johannes Lepsius was working. The Institute for Armenian Studies is located in Halle, and we have an Armenian congregation. So it was clear to go to Armenia.
Well, we're glad you're here. And one of the projects you do is to archaeologically study the, did I say that right, the petroglyphs, the rock carvings in Sisian. Yes. And do we have good rock carvings?
I think there are rock carvings all over the world, but the Armenian rock carvings are numerous, enormous, spread over the whole mountain region, and they are pretty well, and in opposite to the other rock carvings of the world, you know, they are not known by the international society. They are known in Armenia, but we need, what we wanted to do together with the Minister of Culture, together with the colleagues here in Armenia, Pavle Avetissian and the other colleagues, is to do a monitoring of the rock carvings of the Sisian and Syunik region. And this is a lot of work because we talk about thousands of rock carvings.
You know, it's fascinating to us. You know, you said Lepsius and I grinned. You know, Armenians love knowing that the culture and history of which we are proud is also known in other places in the world. I know what all of this gives me and us. What does it give you? I can kind of imagine what it must give academia and the scholarly community. But in what, how does this translate back to the German citizen and taxpayer?
I think what we have to do is, if we really believe in Europe and the idea of living together in the world, in the global world, then we have to build bridges. And that's why we start youth exchange, students exchange. So in 2005 there was just nothing. And now we have 6 schools, not only in Erwan, also in Sadarapad, in other places, where our kids coming to Armenia, stay here with families 2 weeks, and then the year later Armenian classes are coming, and at least in 2 weeks we take back one Armenian student for 2 months to go to Halle, to live there with families, to talk about civil society, how to be European. That's the whole idea, and I think that's changing a lot, both societies. I mean, we learn a little bit about how it is to live in Armenia, and what does it mean, and with all the political situation, with all the global situation, with all the neighbor situation and so on. And people from Armenia get an idea yeah, how it is in the middle of Europe, and what does it mean after the Second World War with peace process, reconciliation, justice, and so on.
You know, every time Europeans say that we need to learn from the European example, of course, if not the first, pretty close to the first example that is shown and used is Germany, and both the reunification process as well as it's finding its new, old and new place again in Europe. And it's something that from the Russian context, you know, was understood one way for decades, and now from the, you know, independent Armenia context needs to be understood in a whole different way. I think that there are, we will cut this part out because I'm falling over my teeth here. I think that it would be worth hearing more about the specific, educational cooperative efforts, and to see how we can highlight them here through our program and others in order to understand better the importance of these bridges without expectations.
If we go to 2015, it's a very important year for Armenian society as well as also for Germans, because it's 70 years after the Second World War. And if we go back and look back to 1945, then Germany was totally defeated and surrounded by enemies. And 70 years later, it's surrounded by France. It's an unbelievable peace process that took place, and it started with civil society. It was not starting by politicians. It started with youth exchange, it started with visiting people, it started with reaching out the hand and asking for forgiveness and so on. So it was an unbelievable process, and it's still going on. So after the crashing of the Soviet system between Poland and Germany, it has to renew their friendship and their way to communicate and to cooperate and so on. And I think this is a message we can learn, and that's a message Europe has to learn. And I hope Armenia will be part of that.
We do too, and we appreciate your help and hand-holding and gently pushing and nudging along the way. We will put links to your site and the archaeology project, and continue to try to highlight these joint projects, and we thank you for doing them and for finding time to visit us at CivilNet.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We've been talking to the Minister of Education and Culture of Saxony Anhalt in Germany, as well as to archaeologist Harald Meller about joint projects, Germany, Armenia, cultural projects, educational projects. Continue to follow us on CivilNet.